It's not a proud day for this country. How could it be a proud day when a man who was not elected by the people becomes president of the United States? How does that happen? Listen, the man is a malignant narcissist, all right? That's a dangerous combination to have a narcissist like that who's elected to public office, because he's only thinking about himself. He's only thinking, how does this affect me? They see that the elites who ruined their lives hate Trump. Corporate America hates Trump. Wall Street hates Trump. The career politicians hate Trump. The media hates Trump after they loved him and created him, and now hate him. Thank you, media. The enemy of my enemy.
They're banking on one thing, that even if Trump loses women, Hispanics, young people, black voters, he'll make it all back with white working class support. The very region he's now parading through, Appalachia, rural America. Banking on Hillary's past mistakes and lingering frustration, but what makes Trump dangerous isn't just the lies. It's how many people need the lie to be true and more. He shattered that need. He walked us through Trump's life like a disaster museum, the casino king who couldn't win, the fake university founder, the mogul who sold failure as branding more. Didn't just inform, he decimated the myth. Trump's greatest fear has never been impeachment, it's irrelevance. And right there on
Trump's election is going to be the biggest fuck you ever recorded in human history. Fake news that he's one of the founders of in the Obama era.
So
he created the fake news of the
Barack Obama is not a citizen, and
he said that there was intelligence.
That's right. He was called by a reputable,
credible
source,
that there was intelligence.
Right.
He himself was going to. He was hiring investigators.
Yes.
To support his fake news.
In fact,
he is the godfather of this decade's fake news.
This is
for him now to say fake news.
national TV more made him irrelevant. Not with long policy talks, but with raw truth, brutal timing, and unforgettable mockery. The only thing worse than being hated when you're Trump is being forgotten. And that's exactly where Moore left him. A fading punchline in a country, finally ready to move on. None of what Moore said had to be fact-checked in that moment, because it felt real. And that's the weapon Trump always wielded, emotional truth over actual truth. He toured places like Wisconsin, promising riches. "I'll make you all rich," he said. And who wouldn't want to believe that? It's like asking someone how they look tonight. If they say amazing, it doesn't matter if it's true.
Because when he starts to cause harm to our fellow Americans, people are going to rise up. They're not going to take this. They're not going to take it from a guy that did not get a majority of the votes of the people of this country. So, and his thin skin too could be his undoing. When whoever has the most points wins, right? Tottenham 2, Chelsea 1. Who won that game? I'm just asking you factually. Who won that game?
In that case, Tottenham.
Tottenham won. All right. Now, how odd would it be if you on the news that night said Chelsea won today with one goal and Tottenham got 2?
But what are you going to do about it?
This makes no sense.
You feel good, that's the trick. That's Trump's gift, because Trump wasn't just a politician, he was a TV star, a beloved one. Remember The Apprentice? In its first year, it pulled over 40 million viewers. That's not a typo, 40 million. Last week, the most watched show in America had 13.1 million. Trump had 3 times that. You might not be in that crowd. But between the Hudson River and La Cienega Boulevard, millions were. They loved him because he kept it simple. He gave them what they wanted to hear. He played the role, and more. He finally called cut on the performance and rolled credits on the illusion, Trump's empire. It was a castle built on...
Donald Trump is a big believer in capitalism and free enterprise and the sort of thing that's driven us into the ground, this belief that you could just do whatever you want and it doesn't matter who gets hurt by it. And I don't really see him changing, but I think he knows he's been on TV, he's a performance artist. He knows what to say and he knows how to make this appeal.
You think it's BS?
I think it's, well, please, I don't use that kind of language. But yes, I think Megan, come on, I know this is the flagship show of Fox News. I just want to go on the record. Well, we all know that.
I like the way you make me sound. Go on.
It is.
Sand and Moore brought the tide. Every piece of Trump's carefully crafted brand tough guy, deal maker, nationalist, hero crumbled under the force of Moore's precision. He laid bare the absurdity of a man hawking gold sneakers to broke fans while claiming to be their savior. But Moore didn't just roast the man, he torched the story. Because if you peel back the branding, what do you really get? A salesman, peddling fake wealth, fake patriotism, and fake power to people who deserve real leadership. Moore's brilliance wasn't just in what he said, it was in how easily he said it. Trump's mythology didn't go down in flames. It folded like wet paper. 1 minute of Moore did what hours of legal hearings and debates never could. It made Trump look small. Very small, and then came the death blow. Moore didn't just criticize Trump, he made America laugh at him, not at his policies, not at his party, at him. And for a narcissist, that's the one thing they can't survive. The moment you become a joke, you stop being a threat. Moore didn't just strip Trump of power, he reduced him to a meme. From self-declared strongman to punchline, from leader to late-night bit. And once that switch flips, you don't flip it back. Trump's flailing, now firing off rage posts, blaming the DOJ, Democrats, the media, even the ghost of George Washington, but it's too late. The audience is already laughing, and Moore? He wasn't just a commentator, he shattered the fourth wall of Trumpism. He didn't just attack the policies, he exposed the act, and Trump? He's flailing like a magician who just realized the crowd saw the wires, the illusion, gone, the spell. Broken, the self-declared master of dominance, dominated by a filmmaker in a baseball cap. Moore's takedown didn't just land, it detonated. Because Moore didn't use facts like a reporter, he used ridicule like a wrecking ball. And ridicule sticks, you forget the headlines. But you remember the sound of a studio audience gasping, you? Remember the moment the strongman looked like a sweaty, desperate caricature. That's what Moore gave us. A moment, one that made it impossible to look at Trump the same way again. It didn't end Trump's career, it ended the illusion. And for a man whose entire identity is smoke and mirrors, that's a fate worse than any court ruling. He wasn't just exposed, he was erased. Trump always knew this moment could come the day the con ran out of runway. But he never imagined it would happen like this. Not with indictments. Not from Congress, but from the one thing he can't spin or control, laughter. Moore turned Trump's brand into a late-night infomercial for failure. The business genius who turned casinos into ghost towns. The patriot who dodged drafts, insulted veterans, and golfed through crises. The billionaire whose companies bled cash like open wounds. This wasn't politics anymore. This was a reputational implosion captured in 4K, and Moore didn't have to shout, he just laid out the facts. And let the absurdity implode under its own weight. The crowd saw it, the country saw it, Trump felt it. You could see the shift, those stunned expressions from die-hard defenders. The silence from right-wing media who suddenly didn't know what to say. Moore didn't just roast Trump, he shifted the tone. Because once mockery enters the mainstream, power begins to decay. A dictator can survive protests, but he can't survive punchlines. Moore gave America permission to stop fearing Trump and start laughing at him. And when a narcissist becomes the joke, every tantrum, every tweet, every witch hunt claim only makes him look more pathetic. That's why Trump is spiraling. Not because of court dates or indictments, but because people are tuning out. You can't grift a crowd that's already walking out. And Moore held the door wide open. Trump once stood at the Detroit Economic Club, threatening Ford execs with a 35% tariff if they moved factories to Mexico. It was bold, it was raw. No politician had said it before. And in Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, it was music. Brexit states cheered. But here's the part Trump never grasped. Fear may control people, but laughter frees them. And that's what Moore gave us: a national unshackling. Because the one truth narcissists can't bear isn't losing. It's irrelevance. Moore didn't just mock Trump, he annihilated him. Not with anger, with clarity, with timing. With truth, he didn't debate Trumpism, he deflated it. Made it. Look tired, made it look ridiculous. And now Trump's whole act is collapsing like a circus tent in the wind. Every indictment, every speech, every desperate plea for relevance now echoes with Moore's voice. This is who you are afraid of? And that's the line that sticks. Because once the fear is gone, the power is gone. The myth is gone. And all that's left? A man yelling into the void, hoping someone still believes. Donald Trump thought he was untouchable. The rallies were massive, the sound bites were sharp, and his fan base? Still chanting his name like it's a sacred hymn. But what if I told you that the one person who's watched him climb, deceive, spiral, and scheme from the shadows has finally stepped into the light, and what he said might just be the blow that shatters Trump's carefully built illusion? That person. None other than Michael Moore, and he's not pulling a single punch. In a raw, off-the-cuff moment that's catching fire across every major media outlet, Moore detonated a string of truth bombs so devastating they've left Trump's entire empire exposed, from the lies and manipulation to the fear he's desperately tried to hide. The moment Moore started talking, everything changed. You could feel the air shift, the audience, dead silent. Like they knew history was happening, in real time. Trump, on the other hand, is reportedly losing it behind closed doors, pacing, shouting, and scrambling to control the narrative that's slipping right through his fingers, because this isn't some minor jab or political squabble. This is a full-blown public unmasking. It's years of silence breaking wide open. Michael Moore just drew a line in the sand, and what he revealed might just mark the beginning of Donald Trump's long overdue reckoning. Moore didn't show up with gloves on. He showed up with fire. What followed wasn't just a critique. It was a surgical takedown of the entire Trump myth. Piece by piece, Moore dismantled the image, the so-called business genius who somehow managed to bankrupt casinos, the man of the people who campaigned on private jets while pretending to relate to the struggling masses. For someone who's built his brand on fiction, Moore's truth hit like a sledgehammer. The Trump persona, the outsider, the patriot, the fighter, all of it collapsed under the weight of Moore's words. It didn't take long. Within minutes, the illusion shattered. And what was left? A man exposed, a character stripped of costume, scrambling to save face, but then came the knockout. The moment that truly cut deep. Moore went after the one thing Trump holds above all else, being taken seriously. That's the fuel that drives him. And Moore didn't just question it, he mocked it, he made it a punchline. Because once America starts laughing at you, it's over. Trump knew it. You could almost hear the mental typewriter clicking rage tweet after rage tweet, loading like ammo in his head. But there was no recovering from it. Moore had already done the damage. He didn't just critique the man, he turned Trump's legacy into national stand-up material. This wasn't just a takedown. It was a character collapse in real time. The brilliance of Moore's takedown wasn't just in what he said, it was when he said it. Trump's latest scheme was already falling apart at the seams, and Moore? He walked in with a match and doused the whole thing in gasoline. He didn't just rattle off Trump's failures, he connected the dots. He revealed the blueprint behind the chaos. This wasn't about isolated blunders. It was about exposing the pattern a lifetime built on grift, ego, and illusion. Moore made it clear, Trump isn't some fallen icon. He's a conman who never stopped conning. From bankrupting stakes to treating lawsuits like morning coffee, from selling flags to selling fear, it's all been one long hustle, and the worst part? Millions bought into it. Moore didn't just inform, he reminded the nation. This isn't new. This is Trump's origin story, played out over decades. And now the veil's been ripped off on live television. Moore's words didn't just sting. They cracked the final layer of the Trump fantasy wide open. Because what do you do when a man like Trump doesn't get taken down by indictments, or politicians, or even the press? But by laughter? That's the true humiliation. The legacy crumbles, not in court, but on the stage of public ridicule. And right now, the unraveling isn't coming. It's already begun, and everyone's watching. Moore did what prosecutors, politicians, and pundits never could. He turned Donald Trump into a walking punchline. Every lie, every scandal, every insult came crashing down under the weight of one brutal truth. Donald Trump isn't a strong man. He's a salesman, a pitchman, a washed-up reality star gripping a brand that's rotting from the inside out. The art of the deal was never a strategy, it was a costume. And when Moore tore it off, all that remained was a scared man who couldn't even sell credibility to his most loyal fan. That night, Trump wasn't just exposed, he was deflated. And Moore didn't need to gloat, he just grinned. Because the most powerful weapon against a man built on fear? Laughter. What made this so lethal wasn't just Moore's delivery. It was how America responded. Viral clips, stunned silence, roaring laughter, a collective realization spreading like wildfire. We've been sold a fantasy for years. And now, the mask is cracking? Moore wasn't just speaking, he was channeling the exhaustion of a nation fed up with the noise, the grift, the performance. Trump's base may scream fake news, but now they're screaming into a shrinking void. This wasn't just another roast, it was a cultural tipping point. And here's the irony, the louder Trump yells, the more he proves Moore right. Because when your only defense is denial, you've already lost the fight. While we were watching the headlines, Trump's administration was quietly setting fire to the foundation. His EPA-made decisions will suffer from for generations. His Interior Department sold off public land to private interests. Every cabinet agency, agriculture, justice, education, quietly pushed agendas we won't even fully grasp until it's too late. And Moore, he pointed that out. He took this one horror show and multiplied it by 20, then by 200. That's what's happening in the shadows of every federal office Trump controls, every single day. And while it's uncomfortable, someone had to say it. Moore didn't flinch. He dropped it all. Imagine this, a man who convinced half the country he was a billionaire warrior, a titan fighting the system, reduced to a punchline in under 5 minutes. Moore didn't debate policy, he exposed the performance. Trump never governed. He acted badly, and Moore didn't just call it out. He exposed the set, the script, and the makeup artist. Suddenly, the strongman looked weak, like a sweaty actor at curtain call, and the audience? Oh, they saw it. Moore spoke directly to the forgotten, the ones who believed Trump was their Molotov cocktail, their revenge against the elites. But Moore didn't shame them. He handed them a mirror because they weren't blowing up the system. They were fueling it. Funding a man who is the system billionaire, tax cheat, celebrity fraud. The guy who stiffed his workers while selling them cheap red hats made overseas. Moore didn't insult Trump voters. He awakened them, and that's what scared Trump most. Not the mockery, not the criticism, the awakening. Because if the base realizes they've been conned, the empire collapses. Trump's only real weapon is illusion. And Moore shattered that illusion live, one truth at a time. Turning roaring MAGA passion into cold, stunned silence, Moore knew Trump long before the red hats. Back in the 90s, they shared stages. Trump wasn't always this cartoon villain. He supported Planned Parenthood, gay rights. Sure, he was a blowhard with a name obsession, but he also rebuilt Central Park's skating rink. He wasn't the man he pretended to be to win those votes. So could someone like Moore support him now? Absolutely not. Because Trump's biggest problem isn't the past. It's what happens when he tries to walk back all the crazy. What happens to the voters who believe that crazy? When reality hits, do they stay? Or do they finally walk away?